Today we'll explore the structure and function of the human reproductive system. Unlike most body systems that maintain homeostasis, this one's primary purpose is to ensure the continuation of our species. We'll look at how the male and the female reproductive systems work together to produce gametes, how hormones regulate these processes, and how development, fertilization, and birth all connect through intricate biological mechanisms. We'll start with the male reproductive system. Its main job is to produce and deliver the sperm, the male gametes. The testes are housed in the scrotum, a muscular sac that maintains a slightly lower temperature essential for sperm production. Within the testes are the seminiferous tubules, where sperm forms. From there, they move on to the epididymis, where they mature and gain motility and travel through the ductus deferens, which carries them towards the ejaculatory duct during ejaculation. The journey of sperm is like a carefully mapped out route. They begin in the seminiferous tubules, pass through the epididymis for storage, move through the ductus deferens, and then join secretions from the seminal vesicles in the ejaculatory duct. Finally, semen exits the body through the urethra and the penis. Each region is specialized to help sperm survive and prepare for fertilization. Sperm rely on several accessory glands for support. The seminal vesicles add fructose for energy and provide most of the seminal fluid. The prostate gland secretes an alkaline solution that helps neutralize the vaginal environment, allowing sperm to live longer. The bulbourethral gland produces lubricating mucus that clears the urethra before ejaculation. Together, these glands ensure sperm are protected, nourished, and able to move efficiently towards the egg. Sperm are produced through both mitosis and meiosis within the seminiferous tubules. The process begins with spermatogonia, which divide into primary spermatocytes, then secondary, and finally spermatids, which mature into fully developed sperm cells. Each sperm is haploid, meaning they contain only half the usual number of chromosomes, ready to combine with the egg. Supporting this entire process are Sertoli cells, which nourish developing sperm and help maintain the structure of the tubules. Let's talk about the key hormone that drives the male reproductive system, testosterone. It's a steroid hormone produced by the interstitial cells between the seminiferous tubules. Testosterone controls the growth and function of male reproductive organs, supports sperm production, and is responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics like deeper voice and facial hair. It also influences behavior and sex drive. So while we often think of testosterone as just a male hormone, it's actually a critical regulator of reproduction and overall physiology. Testosterone production itself is tightly regulated by the negative feedback loop involving the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and testes. The hypothalamus releases GnRH, which triggers the anterior pituitary to release LH and FSH. LH stimulates testosterone production by the interstitial cells, while FSH works on the Sertoli cells to support sperm formation. As testosterone levels rises, they signal back to the brain to reduce GnRH, LH, and FSH, keeping this level stable. Now we shift to the female reproductive systems. While males produce millions of sperm daily, females release just 1 or 2 oocytes each month. This system undergoes a monthly cycle to prepare for potential fertilization and pregnancy. If fertilization does not occur, the reproductive system adapts to nurture and protect the developing embryo. If not, the system resets and the cycle begins again. The ovaries are the main organ of the female reproductive system. They release the oocyte, or immature eggs, and secrete the hormone estrogen and progesterone. Once an oocyte is released, it enters the oviducts, also known as the fallopian tubes, which leads to the uterus. Fertilization usually happens in the upper third of the oviduct, and it takes about 3 to 4 days for the fertilized egg to travel to the uterus. The timing is critical. Everything depends on this precise coordination between the ovaries and the oviducts. The uterus is the muscular pear-shaped organ that supports pregnancy. It has several key layers: the endometrium, where the fertilized egg implants, and the placenta begins to form; the myometrium, which is smooth muscle that expands during pregnancy and contracts during labor; and the cervix, the narrow lower portion and the opening during childbirth. The endometrium's ability to grow, shed, and regenerate each month is what creates the menstrual cycle. The vagina serves multiple roles. It's the site of sexual intercourse and the exit passageway for menstrual flow and the birth canal during delivery. Externally, the vulva includes the labia majora and labia minora and the clitoris, which contains erectile tissue and is highly sensitive to touch. The clitoris is the key structure in female sexual response, comparable to the penis in the embryological origins and nerve density. After birth, the focus of the reproductive system shifts to lactation. The mammary glands located in the breast are modified sweat glands of the integumentary system that produces milk. During puberty, estrogen promotes breast development, preparing them for the potential future lactation. The hormone prolactin from the anterior pituitary stimulates milk production, while oxytocin from the posterior pituitary triggers milk ejection by contracting smooth muscle around the glands. The menstrual cycle is a repeating pattern of hormone and structural changes, usually lasting about 28 days. It's controlled by hormones from both the pituitary gland and the ovaries. These cycles begin at puberty and continue until menopause, pausing only during pregnancy. The coordination between the ovaries and the uterine cycle ensures that when the egg is released, the uterus is ready to receive it. The menstrual cycle includes two synchronized processes: the ovarian cycle, which focuses on the maturation and the release of an oocyte, guided by FSH and LH. Meanwhile, the uterine cycle involves changes in the endometrial lining, controlled by estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen thickens the lining while progesterone stabilizes it in preparation for implantation. If pregnancy does not occur, hormone levels drop, and menstruation resets the cycle. Females are born with about 1 million primary oocytes per ovary, all halted partway through meiosis. In puberty, most have been reabsorbed, leaving about 400,000 potential eggs. Each month, a small group resumes development, but typically only one fully matures and released during ovulation. This monthly rhythm is influenced by FSH and LH and the ovaries' hormones estrogen and progesterone. Inside the ovaries, developing follicles mature under the influence of FSH and LH. These hormones stimulate granulosa cells to divide and form the zona pellucida, a protective glycoprotein layer around the oocyte. A fluid-filled cavity called the antrum develops, and the estrogen levels rise as the follicle matures. A sudden surge of LH then triggers ovulation, releasing the secondary oocyte from the ovary. After ovulation, the remaining follicle transforms into the corpus luteum, which secretes progesterone to prepare the uterus for implantation. If fertilization happens, an early embryonic tissue called chorion releases human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, the hormone detected by pregnancy tests. HCG keeps the corpus luteum active for about 9 to 10 weeks, ensuring continuous estrogen and progesterone production to maintain the endometrium. After that, the placenta takes over hormone secretion. If fertilization does not occur, the corpus luteum breaks down, hormone levels drop, and the cycle begins again with menstruation. While the ovarian cycle focuses on egg development, the uterine cycle prepares the endometrium for possible implantation. It begins with the menstrual phase, usually days 1 through 5, when the estrogen and progesterone levels falls and the endometrial lining sheds. Next comes the proliferative phase, days 6 through 14, driven by rising estrogen levels that rebuild the lining. This regeneration ensures that the uterus is ready in case of fertilization occurs. Around day 14, ovulation marks the transition to the secretory phase, usually days 15 through 28. The corpus luteum releases progesterone and estrogen, which thickens and stabilizes the endometrium. The uterine glands enlarge and begin secreting nutrients, preparing for fertilized egg to implant. If implantation doesn't happen, the corpus luteum degenerates, hormone levels fall, and the cycle starts again. When no fertilization takes place, the endometrial lining breaks down. The drop in the estrogen and progesterone triggers menstruation, marking the beginning of a new cycle. Some individuals experience premenstrual syndrome, or PMS, which can include mood changes, food cravings, and water retention, while dysmenorrhea refers to painful cramps caused by uterine contractions and prostaglandins. The menstrual cycle rhythm is governed by feedback loops between the brain, the pituitary, and the ovaries. During the proliferative phase, rising estrogen creates a positive feedback loop, causing surges in LH and triggering ovulation. During the secretory phase, high estrogen and progesterone levels switch to a negative feedback, suppressing FSH and LH. This interplay of feedback ensures one egg matures at a time and prevents overlapping cycles. Now let's look at what happens when fertilization succeeds. A single ejaculation may release hundreds of millions of sperm, but only 100 reach the oocyte in the oviduct. Sperm can survive in the female reproductive tract for up to 5 days. When one sperm finally penetrates the egg's outer layer, their nuclei fuse to form the zygote, restoring the full chromosome number. This single event marks the start of a new human organism. There are many ways to prevent pregnancy by interrupting this process. Abstinence is the only method that completely avoids fertilization. Surgical sterilization is a permanent option. In males, a vasectomy cuts the ductus deferens, while in females, tubal ligation or hysteropic sealing blocks the oviducts. Hormonal methods are among the most common form of contraception. They use synthetic estrogen and progesterone to prevent ovulation by suppressing FSH and LH release. Examples include oral contraceptive pills, Depo-Provera injections, Ortho-Evra patches, the NuvaRing, or Nexplanon implants. These methods are reliable and can even provide benefits such as reduced cramps, lighter menstrual flow, and lower risk of ovarian and uterine cancers. However, they can cause side effects like fluid retention, headaches, or blood pressure changes, and they do not protect against sexually transmitted diseases. It's important for patients to balance effectiveness with personal health needs and risk factors. Beyond hormonal options, there are several mechanical and chemical methods that prevent fertilization or implantation. Intrauterine devices, or IUDs, are small plastic or metal pieces inserted into the uterus. They create mild inflammation that prevents sperm from fertilizing an egg or an embryo from implanting. Some IUDs, like Mirena, also release hormones for extra protection. Other barriers methods include diaphragms and cervical caps, which block sperm from entering the cervix, especially effective when used with spermicides that kill sperm cells. Chemical spermicides come in gels or foams that are used alongside barriers like condoms. Speaking of which, condoms, both male and female, trap sperm and are the only contraceptive method that allows and also protects against most sexually transmitted diseases. For those preferring natural contraception, the fertility awareness method relies on tracking ovulation to avoid intercourse on fertile days. As a backup, there is the emergency contraceptive like Plan B and Ella, which work after intercourse by delaying ovulation or preventing implantation. Scientists are developing new methods for men that go beyond vasectomies. One promising approach is testosterone progestin gel applied daily to reduce sperm production without affecting libido. Another one is an experimental male contraceptive pill, DMAU, that lowers testosterone and sperm production temporarily. Researchers are also studying non-surgical vasectomies where reversible gels block the ductus deferens. These methods could give men more control over fertility and share contraceptive responsibility more evenly. Now let's shift to infertility, the inability to conceive after years of trying. In men, infertility often stems from problems with sperm numbers, quality, or motility. A healthy ejaculation contains about 300 million sperm, but counts below 60 million are considered low. Causes can include hormone imbalances, infections like mumps or gonorrhea, radiation exposure, or anabolic steroid use. Sometimes sperm are produced but can't move properly, preventing them from reaching the egg. Female infertility can have many origins as well. It may result from irregular menstrual cycles, hormone imbalances in FSH or LH, or blocked oviducts due to pelvic inflammatory disease, which is a bacterial infection that scars reproductive organs. Other cases include endometriosis, thick cervical mucus, or changes in vaginal pH that make it too acidic for sperm survival. Reproductive capacity also declines with age, and in some cases, frequent miscarriages suggest chromosomal or uterine issues. Modern medicine offers several ways to assist couples facing infertility. Artificial insemination involves placing sperm directly into the vagina or uterus at the right time in the cycle, increasing the chances of fertilization. More advanced options fall under assisted reproductive technologies, which involve handling both egg and sperm outside of the body. These techniques are especially useful when the oviducts are blocked or damaged, or when sperm needs help reaching the egg. The most well-known ART is in vitro fertilization. Here, the eggs are harvested from the ovaries and fertilized within sperm in the laboratory dish. After several cell divisions, a tiny embryo is inserted into the uterus through the vagina. Extra embryos can be frozen for future use or donated. IVF has helped millions of couples conceive and can also use donor eggs when a woman cannot produce viable eggs options herself. Sometimes fertility drugs are prescribed to stimulate egg production. These medications boost the release of FSH and LH, increasing the number of eggs available for IVF, but they can also lead to multiple births. In other cases, couples may turn to surrogate motherhood, where another woman carries the pregnancy. The sperm and egg usually come from the intended parents, while the surrogate provides the uterus and nourishes for fetal development. The reproductive system is also vulnerable to infections known as sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs. These can be caused by bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoans, or even arthropods. Some are mild or even symptomless, while others can cause infertility or serious illnesses. Many STDs affect other organ systems as well, so understanding prevention and early detection is essential for reproductive and overall health. Let's start with bacterial infections. Gonorrhea, caused by Neisseria gonorrhea, often produces symptoms in males such as burning urination and penile discharge. In females, the infection is often silent but can cause vaginal discharge or pain. If untreated, it can progress to pelvic inflammatory disease, which scars the oviducts and leads to infertility. Gonorrhea can also be passed to newborns during birth, causing eye infections, but usually treatable with antibiotics when diagnosed early. Another common bacterial infection is chlamydia, caused by Chlamydia trachomatis. It's the most frequent reported STD in the United States and often goes unnoticed because symptoms can be mild or absent. In males, it may cause penile discharge, burning sensations during urination. In females, vaginal discharge and irritation. If untreated, chlamydia can lead to pelvic inflammatory disease, scarring the oviducts, and even ectopic pregnancies. Because it's bacterial, it can be treated with antibiotics, but early detection is key to preventing long-term damage. Now we turn to HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, which remains one of the most serious STDs. HIV attacks and weakens the immune system by targeting helper T cells, making the body vulnerable to infections it could normally fight off. Transmission occurs through blood and body fluids, including sexual contact. Without treatment, HIV can progress to AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, over about 10 years. While there is no cure, modern antiviral therapies can suppress the virus to undetectable levels, allowing individuals to live long, healthy lives. Hepatitis B is caused by the HBV virus that spreads through the same routes as HIV: blood, body fluids, and sexual contacts. It primarily affects the liver, sometimes leading to chronic liver diseases or cancers. Unlike HIV, though, there is a vaccine that provides effective protection and is given routinely to infants and health coworkers. Hepatitis B serves as a reminder that vaccinations is a powerful tool in preventing sexually transmitted infections. The human papillomavirus, or HPV, is the most common sexually transmitted infection worldwide. Many HPV strains cause genital warts, but certain high-risk types are linked to cervical cancers and other genitals or throat cancers. Treatment focuses on removing warts and monitoring cancerous changes, but prevention is best. HPV vaccines such as Gardasil and Cervarix protect against the most dangerous strains. The CDC recommends vaccination for both boys and girls around ages 11 to 12. Genital herpes, caused by the herpes simplex virus, HSV, usually type 2, is another widespread infection. It spreads through direct skin-to-skin contact and sexual activity. Painful blisters around the genital areas and may reoccur periodically because the virus remains dormant in the nerve cells. There's no cure, but antiviral drugs can shorten outbreaks and reduce contagiousness. Importantly, herpes can be passed to infants during childbirth, making prenatal screenings vital for pregnant patients. Not all genital infections are strictly STDs. Yeast infections caused by Candida albicans occurs when the natural balance of microorganisms in the vagina shifts, often due to antibiotics, hormones, or stress. Symptoms include itching, irritation, and thick white discharge. While not typically transmitted sexually, yeast can be passed between partners. Treatment usually involves topical or oral antifungal medications, and maintaining a balanced microbiome helps prevent reoccurrence. Trichomoniasis is caused by the protozoan Trichomonas vaginalis. It causes vaginitis in the females, producing frothy, foul-smelling discharge, itching, and irritation. In males, symptoms may include urethral inflammation and discharge. It's treatable with antibiotics like metronidazole, but in reinfections is common if both partners aren't treated. This infection highlights how protozoans, single-celled eukaryotes, can also play a role in human reproductive health. Lastly, we have pubic lice, sometimes called crabs. These tiny arthropods are relatives of the insects and spiders that live in coarse hair, particularly the pubic regions. They feed on blood and cause intense itching and skin irritation. Although uncomfortable, they're not dangerous and can be easily treated with anti-lice shampoos. Clothes and bedding should be washed in hot water to kill any remaining lice or eggs. The reproductive system does much more than produce gametes. It deeply is connected to the endocrine regulation, emotional health, and long-term well-being. Understanding how hormonal cycles in fertility and sexual health intertwine allows us to appreciate how delicate this balance is. Whether we're studying gametogenesis, fertilization, or disease prevention, the key theme is coordination, how multiple organs and systems work together to support human life.